Dear ministers, if anybody is still here, dear ambassadors, dear admirals, dear generals, distinguished guests, I'm sure this is perhaps the most well-educated audience I have ever had, so please bear with me. As most of you can see, I am in an Army Class 1 uniform, so you might think, is he an expert on security at sea? And between us, I can tell you, I'm not. But some very knowledge people have drawn me a speech, and they have also tried to give me some knowledge. And yeah, again, between us, I can also tell you that it's difficult to give knowledge to me. But they have done a good job, I hope. Therefore, what I'm saying today is a Danish view on this topic. A view that is a moving target at the moment with the Russian aggression and activities on the Baltic Sea, where core energy infrastructure is located, and this has motivated NATO countries to join forces on the joint supervision of the key critical infrastructure and energy facilities. Within the last month, direct incidents have affected Finland, Sweden, Estonia, and I think that all countries around the Baltic Sea is now feeling threatened on their critical infrastructure and energy facilities. In Denmark, the responsibility for energy security is actually divided between 3 different ministeriums. It is the Ministry of Defense, it is the Ministry for Resilience and Preparedness, and then also the Ministry for Climate, Energy and Utilities. This for sure have some advantages, especially during peacetime. But it might also have some weaknesses, and is something that the development in the Baltic Sea over the last couple of months has shown. Therefore, there's an ongoing development on this in Denmark on who should be responsible and how the responsibilities should be divided between the different ministeriums. So the situation. I'm an army guy, so I'll try to do it a bit army-wise. The Danish defense is monitoring the Danish sea territory with its own sensors and capacities. Well, and as well as also monitoring the Danish economic zones and the airspace. The pictures that we get from monitoring this, we are sharing with the rest of the Baltic, the countries that are located around the Baltic Sea, and also with NATO. The Maritime Operations Center in Denmark, Sweden and Norway have daily contact, along with close contact also with Germany and Poland. Through joint problem solving, ad hoc contact, if anything occurs, this is, I think, the best way that, or the only possibility that we have at the moment in Denmark to do something about this. We don't have that many means in our toolbox. Within the frame of NATO, the Allied Maritime Component Command, the MARCOM, continuously maintain the Alliance Joint Maritime Surveillance Picture, which is shared among all NATO countries. All NATO countries surveillance, all NATO countries surrounding the Baltic Sea thereby contributes to this picture, and thereby also giving all nations the picture that they can take decision upon what to do and what to do if there's any threats. In Denmark, the Ministry of Climate, Energy and Utility sets the requirements for security and resilience that apply to facilities and actors operating within critical energy infrastructure at sea. The requirements are based on the criticality of the individual facility. This results in certain robustness against incidents. So as a company that wants to operate within the Danish area of responsibility, you would be given information from the Ministry of Energy about how and what to do. And concerning the energy sector, there are well-established ways of communicating if an incident occurs around energy infrastructure. Actors within the electricity and gas sectors are obliged to report any unusual activities to both the Danish Energy Agency and Energinet, the Danish TSO, and if relevant, to the local police and the Maritime Assistance Service for incidents at sea. Complications. I think we all know by now that it is challenging to fully secure all infrastructure, especially at sea. This is further complicated when incidents happen in areas of international water, where regulations is complex and sometimes differently interpreted by different countries. I think we have all seen that the last couple of months. Solution? Well, I'm not sure this is the solution. I think this is a part of the solution. If this was the solution, I wouldn't be standing here. I would have a job where I get paid a lot more. But I think that it is central to create a common understanding and definition of both incidents, regulations, and tools of preventing incidents, including precise definitions of all operational domains, so that we know what we talk about. And this has actually also been overtaken by event. This last Tuesday, NATO Security General announced that the next step in order to increase security in the Baltic Sea is Operation Baltic Sentry, which will be coordinated by Commander of Task Force Baltic in Rostock, as far as I'm aware. I think that this will increase the security in the Baltic Sea, and I think it's a huge step in the right direction for all countries to start working together and taking this seriously. The Baltic Sentry, and I think I saw that there will be a speaker also from NATO later that perhaps knows a bit more about it, but the Baltic Sentry will include naval ships, patrol boats, and new technology such as a fleet of maritime drones. NATO will cooperate within the critical undersea infrastructure network, which will also include industry and develop new methods of protecting infrastructure. NATO will also conduct increased patrols as part of the Joint Expeditionary Force led by the United Kingdom, which has developed a system for tracking suspicious ships moving using AI technology. So again, hopefully, technology will help us win this war. Yeah, that's all from the Danish perspective. I will not be here at the end for the questions. So, and I think I have only used 10 minutes. So if allowed, if anyone has questions, I'm ready to answer.